नमो ब्रह्मादिभ्यो ब्रह्मविद्यासम्प्रदायकर्तृभ्यो वंशऋषिभ्यो महद्भ्यो नमो गुरुभ्यः। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मीति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. So, we have been going through the various mantras of Kathopanishad, which is in the form of a story between Nachiketas and Lord Yama for the spiritual enlightenment of an apt student who can have no parallel in our knowledge, who was so adamant in getting that knowledge from the master who is established in the truth, Yamaha himself. In spite of getting tempted by various offering by tempted Yama to see how steadfast the student is, Nachiketa has successfully qualified for it. And in the last 3 classes, we have seen the various stages of spiritual unfoldment that was being given to Nachiketas, through Nachiketas to all of us. So the beneficiaries are those who are listening to it. And in the last class where we stopped was where the example of the chariot as the body of the human being as a chariot, the Jivatma as the rider, the intellect is the charioteer, mind is the reins, and the horses are the indriyas, sense organs, and the path is riddled with temptations, and the one who is able to control the horses, which has been trained well, means how to control your senses. If you have a person has learned it, then he is definitely the whole unit is reaching that Vishnu Paramam Padam, that ultimate place of Vishnu, which itself is Vivutvad Vishnu or Vyapagattvad Vishnu. So the last mantra was Vijnana Saritir Yastu Manapragavan Naraha So Advana Paramapnodi Tad Vishnu Paramam Padam is where we stopped. So with that, with the most apt usage of a discriminative intellect and using the mind to restrict the overindulgence or the waylaid approach toward the sense organs, momentary temptations, etc. If the journey of our life is continued with the same goal in my mind, the ultimate, that moksha or the merging of the Jivatma Paramatma is the truth. For that, if anybody is undertaking that journey, he definitely reaches Paramapnodi Tad Vishnu Paramam Padam. Is the guarantee given by none other than the Lord of Death, Yamaha himself. In the next 2 shlokas, which we are starting this class, has got 2 shlokas together as stage by stage how the control of one over the other is established. It is also a shloka, a mantra, a couplet of mantras which is used very heavily in the Nididhyasana or the meditation process, where you are withdrawing yourself into your own, or that the way in which one has to look inward is being given in these shlokas. So first I'll read both the shlokas, mantras together, then I'll explain one by one. Indriyebhya param hyarta, artebhya cha param manaha, manasascha para buddhir, buddhiratma mahan paraha. Mahata param avyaktam, avyaktat purusha paraha, purushanna param kinjit, sa kashta sa paragati. So these are the 2 mantras. So if we look it into the individual meaning of this, what are the words indicating in this mantras are Indriyebhya para hyartha. Now, here artha parahi indriya is the way in which we have to read it. Objects are superior to senses. This may feel to be slightly out of place. We are always thinking that our sense organs are in control or is in superior to the objects outside. But the mantra says the objects have superiority over the senses. The reason being that is, who is in control of what? That is why we should understand that when the mantra says that artha parahi indriyebhya parahi artha. So, compared to the sense organs, the objects are superior in the sense that the object has a higher control over the sense organs to distract or to get engaged and reveling in that. From that point, the power is more vested in the objects outside than the mind. But buddhittu paramanasa. When it comes to intellect, no, in between manasa paramartecha. So the mind is superior to the senses. Before the buddhi, the mind comes. The senses are subordinate or at the mercy of the objects. The sense organ, they do not have independent, faculty to withdraw from that. If an object is coming in front of it, the light from the object will definitely fall on the eye, and eye has no right but to refuse, no right to refuse the visual image of the object. That is why the object is superior to the sense organ. But when it comes to manaha param artebhya, that object is inferior to the mind. Even though the sense organ is inferior to the object, the mind has superiority over the object. So, the lowest in the ring is the sense organs, then comes the objects, and above the object is the mind. Why it is so is that if the mind wants, even the object is there, it can prohibit or prevent the sense organ from engaging itself. The object will attract the sense organ, but if the mind wants, it can allow the sense organ to engage or not to engage. Thereby, the mind is superior to the object. Even the object can attract. If the mind is coming in between, the sense organs cannot go. Therefore, the objects become less powerful to attract the sense organs. But when it comes to the intellect, buddhittu para manasa, the logic or the intellect which is there, mind even sometimes can get wavered by the beauty of the object or the temptation of the object, and it may forget itself in indulging itself. But an intellect which has got firm conviction and knowledge about what is to be done, what is not to be done, it can control the mind. So, buddhistu para manasa. Mahan atma buddhe paraha. Now here is Mahan atma buddhe paraha. Here we have transcending from the physical level. That atma which is in me, residing in me, and the atma which is spread everywhere as mahat. So Mahan atma, when it is said, it is the totality, the cosmic intellect. The cosmic intellect is represented by the word Mahanatma. It is not the Jivatma over here what talking, because Jivatma is only a Sakshi. It neither controls the intellect, nor gets attached with the intellect, nor it has got anything to do with the intellect. It is just a Sakshi. But That Mahanatma, which is the word used here, is not the Atma per se. Here the Atma word stands for the intellect. And the word, so the adjective Mahan, when it becomes the cosmic intellect. The cosmic intellect is superior to the individual intellect. So here is the micro intellect and the macro intellect, which is being brought in by the mantra to control, saying that there is a superior power to the individuals which can decide what to happen and what not to happen, or how to control things, which is where we say that, it is the will of God and etc. What we put it as. Actually speaking, the Mahat Atma here standing for is for the Avyaktam or the Virat or Hiranyagarbha mind, the Creator's mind. So the Creator's mind is represented in one of the Upanishads, in the Chandogya, in the other new Upanishads, as the campfire. And the individual intellects are compared to the spark which is coming out of that campfire, where, it has all the qualities of the fire as an amber, which comes out of the, from the fire, the great bigger fire, even though in all qualities, it has that fire potential in it. If it is falling on an object which has that right situation to catch fire, that spark can create another fire. But if it is falling on something which is not incombustible, it can be put off. Even though the spark is the same, the quantity and the power of the big flame is not there in the spark. Same is the case with Mahan Atma and Buddhi. The difference between these two, we should understand that way. The cosmic intellect is omniscient, omnipotent. It has the knowledge of everything. It has the control of everything. It is present everywhere. It is not localized to the body which we are residing in it. But when it comes to a cosmic intellect, there is something superior to that. It is called Avyakta Mahata Param. In the next sloka, in the mantra, it said is Avyaktam. Avyaktam is the unmanifest. The unmanifest form from where the manifestations take place, that time it becomes Virat or Hiranyagarbha or the Creator, or in the mythological thing we can say Brahma, the creator of the world. That Avyaktam, from which is unmanifest form, is superior to the Mahatatma. See, these are all esoterical in the sense that we have to understand it in the meditative way. We are talking about the mind of the Virat, is Mahanatma. The mind of the Mahanatma is a created form, Bhuta Vastu. It has been already taken shape as a cosmic creator. But before the creation takes place, the same thing is in the form of Avyaktam. Now, Avyaktam is that state where the desire to become many, soa kamayada bahusyam prajayeti, in the Upanishads, when it says that will, let me become many, that will which takes place in the Avyakta, when the will starts functioning, it becomes the Virat or Hiranyagarbha, into which makes the creation for the created. Ajayamano bahuda vichayade. That is the other aspect of it. It comes from that as many, appears to become many. So in the mantra what, in the second mantra what is there? Avyaktam Mahata Param. So this unmanifest form with the will to create many is superior to the intellect of the cosmic intellect. Because the cosmic intellect has already got the Trigunatmika, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. Whereas in the Avyakta Mahata state, when the cosmic state, it is pure Sat. There is only Sattva Guna. Whereas the moment it comes into the creation, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, Prakriti Bhava comes, this is the Sankhya philosophy, which brings in that. So both Avyaktam, when in the pure Sattvic state, it is called Avyaktam. When the Sattva, Rajas, Tama Guna case, it is called Prakriti or Hiranyagarbha in the form of which the one creates. Avyaktat Purusha Paraha. Here the Purusha, which is called in the Vedanta as Advaita as Brahma, Brahman, the supreme or the Satchidanandam Brahma, Satchitananda or Satyajnanam Anandam Brahma, that indicated by those words, that is superior than the Avyakta, the unmanifest form. At least in the unmanifest form, there is Sattva Guna. Whereas in the Satyajnanam Anandam Brahma, it is Gunatita, Kalatita, Trigunatita, all beyond that. So that is superior than the will to create. Purushat na param kinchit. There is nothing beyond or superior than the Purusha. So therefore, Purushat na param kinchit itself is a definition for the Purusha. Yasya param nasti sa Purusha. So na Purusha, therefore no Purushat na param kinchit. Therefore nothing is beyond, superior to the Purusha. And sa kashta sa paragati. That is the ultimate, and that indeed is the supreme goal. Paragati. Gati means goal. Paragati means that itself is a paragati. That is the ultimate destination for the Jivatma, using the method of controlling the senses, mind, intellect, merging with that cosmic intellect, and from the cosmic intellect before the desire to become many. Now this is a meditative process which is being explained in the Upanishad. We can also look at from our own personal experience. When we were in our deep sleep, there was no will to see the world, no will to be the individual, nothing was there. And then a desire comes before waking up to wake up. That time also we are not aware of the wake up. That is a pure will to wake up. The moment the will to wake up, the first thing comes is unadulterated I, which doesn't even identify with the body. But the moment that comes, the subordinate starts waking up, like the intellect and the mind and the sense organs, and then the whole world is seen. So you can see the creation happening in us in every day when we wake up from the deep sleep. The same is the creation which is happening in the cosmos also. The Purusha, the moment Avyaktam comes, the will to become many, so kameta bahusyam prajayeti. Then Atmana Akasha Sambhudaha. From that Atma, Akashad Vayo Ragni Agnirapaha, Adya Prithivir Aushadayaha, Aushadebhyo Annam, Annat Purusha. So the step by step how the creation takes place is explained in the Sukta and the mantra. Same is happening individually to all of us also when we wake up from the deep sleep to the waking world. So when you are doing a meditation on this aspect, that the body is a chariot, we have the intellect, which is the controller of the mind is the reins, and the horses are the sense organs, and the objects in the world are the one which is attracting the world, is the temptation for the senses. But the journey is complete and successful only if we have all of them under control. Then only Sat Vishnu Paramampadim. Or here when what they says is Sa Kashta Sa Paragati. So there are two places, Tat Vishnu Paramampadam, here Sa Kashta Sa Paragati. Both are the same. As an individual, what we achieve And as what happens in the cosmic also is the same. It is merging with the Purusha, and that Purusha is represented by Vishnu's Paramam Padam in the previous mantra. Now, having explained this, there are three subtle things which the mantra want to explain to you. Yesha sarveshu bhudeshu gudatma na prakashate. Drishyate tu agriya buddhya sushmaya sushmadarshibhi. Now, how is this possible when we ask it? The mantra, the Upanishad mantra says that Gudaha sarva bhudeshu esha atma na prakashate. Hidden, Gudaha means hidden. This Purusha, which is in the cosmic, which we cannot see, but that Purusha, it is for from Buddhe Parammanaha, Buddhe to Mahanatma. That aspect of that where this is residing cannot be known. Even though it is Sarveshu Bhudeshu, it is there hidden in every atom of creation. Yesha Atma na prakashate. That self doesn't divulge itself. Here is something which we have to understand, that the Atma, when the word is used, we always have a tendency to look as something great and magnificent outside, external to the person who is thinking about it. But when the mantra says that Tadu Tvamasi, that what the Upanishads always is talking about, your own true nature. We are identifying ourselves with the limitation of the body, mind and intellect, and then we think we are the human being and limited to the body. But Upanishads step by step have taken us many a times in different examples and different things, that we are the Sakshi. We are aware. Whatever object is perceivable has to be different from us. And then the one which is perceiving is the Atma. So when it is says that Sarveshu Bhudeshu Esha Atma Gudaha Tad na Prakashate, that doesn't shine in anything and outside, because just as you cannot see yourself, and when you are present in everything, how can you see yourself in that thing outside also? For that, Drishyate tu Sushmadarshibihi Agriya Sushma Buddhya. But it can be only seen with a very subtle intellect. Sushmadarshibihi Drishyate. One can see it if he wants to see it. It is just like a star which is very small in the sky. However much effort we put it, unless we decided to concentrate in that location, that tiny little star will not be seen by us. It is as far as the vision is concerned. Now imagine that concentration which we need within our intellect to understand what the mantra says, that it is hidden in every iota or every atom of the world, which we see as object outside. You are there, very much there in every one of them, but hidden for you because it cannot be seen by the sense organs. But only Sushmadarshibihi, only with a very subtle manner you can see it. Why? Sushmaya Sushma Buddhi, Agriya Sushma Buddhya. It cannot be seen by the sense organs. You have to infer it. You are to use your intellect to identify yourself present in every atom, because you are just as you cannot see yourself within this body itself. We can only see the mind, intellect, and the physical sense organs, the body, and the world outside. But we cannot see ourselves. Just as it is happening in this body, the same entity is available in every atom of the world also. And it cannot be seen by the physical eyes and sense organs. So it has to be sensed with the sharp intellect. That is why the mantra says that's it. Na drishyate tu, na drishyate, na prakashate. It doesn't divulge itself. Prakashate means divulge itself. It cannot divulge itself because the seer and the seen are one in that situation. So it has to be only felt by the seer. The seen as the seen and the seer are, there is no difference. This is how the Upanishad is bringing the subtleness to our, method of inquiry. The next sloka is slightly more intense in the sense, Yat chet vang manasi, pratnya tat chet jnanam atmani, jnanam atmani mahati, nishchaye tad ichchanda atmani. Now, Yat chet vang, pratnyaha yat chet, the discrete mind, the pratnya here is the faculty of the mind, discriminative mind or discriminative intellect. Yat chet vang manasi, it should resolve the words into the mind. Why do you say the world into the mind? When we say words into the mind should know that what is expressed as sound by name and form of manasi. Here vang is indicative for all the sense organs. So all sense organs, what is showing as an object, that should be resolved into the mind as they are awareness or consciousness itself. And what I am sensing as 5 sense organs or 5 sensory inputs are nothing but awareness, and that has to be resolved into the mind. Tat chet jnanam atmani, and that knowledge which is resolving in the mind, which is shining in the mind. Now the object is no more outside. It is in the mind. That not as an object outside, but as awareness or an experience or bodha, swarupa. That is shining in the mind. That jnanam, that chet, jnanam atmani. That should be resolved in the atmani, in the atman. Atmani mahata. So here the atman is being indicative of the higher intellect, within the individual, not the jivatma paramatma. Atmani mahati. That should be seen that if it is happening within me, it is not localized, individualized experience for me alone. It is the experience of everything in the world is experiencing something else. So it has to be common for the Mahat, that cosmic mind or cosmic intellect also. So this way you have to resolve from the individual intellect to that it is the same experience. What I see as light, sound and heat is the same light and sound everybody is expressing. And it is light and sound is always light and sound for anything, whether it's a tree or a rock. It also has the light and sound as light and sound only. It cannot have a different experience, but whether they have the sense organs or not is a different issue. But when it is resolved one by one into the fine, yache tat sande atmani, in that when it is resolved into the tranquil mind, when the mind is, or here atmani is the second atmani is not the intellect, it is in the peaceful entity, individuality, or the atmani here is not the functional mind, but it is the status of the mind when the mind becomes no mind. When that is resolved into that state of no mind, then the Atma is is expressing itself. That is the time when you know that. So that is that exactly the term what they say, drishyate to agriya buddhya. That is the time when we are experiencing that oneness within the individuality and the oneness in the world outside. So when the Krishna said, Yomam pashyati sarvatra sarvam cha mayi pashyati, or yatrana anyap pashyati anyat shrunodi anyat vijanati, in the Upanishad what it says, or sarvam khaluidam brahma, ayamatma brahma, or aham brahmasmi. Everything is dissolving into this one knowledge of, I know that experience of mind which is there as Atma is the same thing, Ghuda, in every object or iota there. But it is myself which is there. I cannot see myself in me as well as in after outside. This can be resolved only by stage doing contemplation or meditation. And for such a person, Sushma tu agriya buddhya prakashate. It drishyate to agriya buddhya. Such a concentrated mind, he will experience it. This is the guarantee given by the Kathopanishad, that Yama to Nachiketa. And then to shake up Nachiketa, who is already into a contemplative mood, the famous mantra is uttered by Yama. Uttishtada jagrada prapyavaran nibodata. Shurasyadara nishita durattiya durgam patastak katavayo vatanti. Uttishtada, shake up and get up. Jagrada, with all the attention which you can enmass or, gather together. Prapya varan nibodata. Varan prapya. After having approached a varan means here it is that the supreme person who knows that truth. In the introductory mantras we have seen that where Nachiketa says that you definitely know that truth. So where can I get a master who indirectly says he knows the truth? And here I am coming to you and I want the truth from you only. I don't want anything else. Such is the state what this Varan is indicative of, that the one who is superior, in the sense here the superiority is not by the knowledge of the one who is established in this Sushma Drishti, who has that, such a person Prapya, after having approached him, Nibodata, you should tell him, Niboda, or request him for passing on that methodology or how to do it. He will tell you. Then he is also telling that this method, Shurasya dara nishita durattiya, durgam patastak kavayo vadanti. Such kavis, the Varan itself is a kavi, or the one who has knowledge, that they talk about it, vadanti, talk about it, patas. This method or this track or this way is durgam, dushtena gandham shakya. It is very difficult to travel that method. It is like Shurasya dara, how the sharpness of a sharp blade can never be seen by the eye. And you can imagine if somebody is being asked to walk through that, what is the concentration or the attention he wants without cutting his leg, how such a person can walk. It is an extraordinary simile, but even in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Mama Maya Duratya. The word Duratya comes there also. It is extremely difficult to cross over that path, but it is not unattainable. If it is unattainable, this would not have been passed on from generations to generation. It's not a wild goose chase. It is possible, The word, because it is pathaya, kapayo vadanti, means those who have traveled that path, they say that it is very difficult, durgam, drishtena gandhum, and nishida duratteya is very difficult to cross over because it is as sharp as a razor's edge. Then comes to the next mantra, is indicative about that state in which when you travel, tat Vishnu param, sa kashta, sa paragati, how does that appear to be, or how it is can be, what will be like it like, is an indicative way in which the Upanishad says that. Ashabdam asparsham arupam avyayam tatarasam nitya agandavachaya. Anadi anandam mahata param dhruvam nijayatam mrityu mukhat pramuchyate. There are no words to explain this. Ashabdam, asparsham, arupam, avyayam, tata rasam, nityam, aganda. So here, all the sensory object and their related tanmatras are being related, because Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. This is the way in which 5 sense organs are experiencing the whole world. So the moment it is say asparjam, means that which the ears cannot grasp it, or the ears are incapable of knowing it. Asparsham, it is not possible to touch, sense or feel, or that it is not an object for the, even for sense of touch. Arupam, for the eyes, it can never visualize, imagine, or even give a form to it, to even the wildest of the wildest imagination. Arasam, it doesn't have a taste. Agandham, it doesn't have a smell. It is avyayam tada nityam. It is without any, what you call, decay. Avyayam, vyayam means to decay. It doesn't diminish. That experience, once it is experienced, sushma drishtya, drishyate tvagriya buddhya, then it is avyayam. And it is not only it is decayless, it is nityam. That is going to remain with you permanent. The nature of itself is permanent. That is your very own nature of it, your own self. And then says anadi, anantam. It has no beginning, and in anandam, it is infinite. There are 2 things here is, one is on talking about the kala, anadi. So it is beyond the time, the space, the time concept. It's all. Anadi means no beginning, means neither the beginning nor now nor future. It is not with any of these things. Anandam is talking about the space. It is not limited to, it is infinite inside. Param mahataha. And even beyond the creator who have created the Prakriti, who has created the entire world. It is beyond that. Jab mahata param. Dhruvam, it is changeless. It is that as an entity, it is changeless. And that is the paramam padam which we will attain by the process of following the method the Upanishad has told it. Nijayatim, by knowing that very clearly, mrityu mukhat pramuchyate, you will never have the fear of death again. Because mrityu mukhat, from the jaws of death, pramuchyate means you are freed for all, once and for all. Because it is nityam. It is avyayam, decayless. It is anadi, anantam. So we should remember that earlier mantra which was told, najayate mriyate va. So it is neither born nor it is death. It is again reaffirmed here in this shloka that tam nichayatam mrityu mukhat pramuchyate. So the one who attempts to get that, he gets freed. This is what is called mukti or moksha, as knowledge. Jnana tevatu kaivalyam. The knowledge is the one which frees you from that bondage or the misconception that you are the limited body. But you are not the limited body. You are the limitless self within, which is the spark which is in you, is the same spark of the big fire from which we are all appearing to have taken up a small, effect of feeling of localization. That is itself is an art of ignorance. The one who sees through these process, he identifies himself Mahataparam. He goes beyond the creation itself, and Sakashta Saparagati. He achieves the ultimate state. Now the last two mantras are concluding mantras from the Nachiketa Upakhyanam. The dialogue between the Yama and Nachiketa comes to end with this sloka and this mantra and the next mantra, which will be the final two mantras of Kathopanishad, first chapter. Nachiketa Mupakhyanam Mrityu-proktam Sanatanam Uktva Shrutva Cha Medavi Brahmalokve Mahiyate. Nachiketa Mupakhyanam. This story of Nachiketa, which has been conveyed, because this is told by the Rishi Katha Muni, who have been telling about the Kathopanishad. Sanatanam Shrutva Uktva. By Shravana and Manana, Medhavi, one who has the Medha or the right intellect, because we know Drishyate tu Agriya Buddhya. So to reaffirm that, the mantra says, such a Medhavi, Mrityu-proktam Sanatanam Vachanam Upakhyanam, Nachiketa Upakhyanam Namna Atha. This mantras, which is called the Nachiketa Upakhyanam, Shrutva Bhuktva, having heard and again telling that, repeating that, Medhavi Brahmaloke Mahiyate. He Brahma eva loka, Brahmaloka. He is abiding in the Brahmaloka. He is ever once and for all. He is free from the clutches of death. Ya imam paramam guhyam Shravayen Brahma samsiti Prayatat Shraddhakaleva Tadanantyaya Kalpate Tadanantyaya Kalpata iti. So when the Upanishad concludes a subject, normally the last sentences are repeated twice. Here is it Tadanantyaya Kalpate Tadanantyaya Kalpata iti. So what it means is that if a person repeats with purity, Imam Guhyam Brahma Samsadi, this mantras which have been told to Nachiketa by Yama, if a person imbibes it, hears it, and again talks about it, Uktva Shrutva, and talks it by that way becomes his conviction, Brahma Samsiti, in the assembly of Brahmans, Brahmavadinaha, who are all interested in attaining Brahmahood, that Brahma Loke Mahiyate, that Brahma Loka. Cha Shraddha Kale, that is for those who are in the devotional part. For them it is say that when they are talking about the Pitru Karma, or that when they are doing this karma for their departed one, it is a sort of a concession to people who cannot have the sharp intellect. The Upanishad itself gives a concession saying that people who are doing the Shraddha for the Pitru, even when that time also, if they do these mantras and talk Nachiketa mantra, so Nachiketa Agni Upasana, that even then, it conduces the result which is supposed to be the result of the Medhavi, the one who with intellect also will get the same, which the one who are doing with the devotion in the Shraddha Kale, they also will get this thing. It is a concession to that people who are in the devotional path also, saying that they also will achieve. But the main theme of the Upanishad said, Drishyate tu Agriya Buddhya Sa Medhavi Brahmaloke Mahiyate. only with that sharp intellect and the subtle intellect, one who processes the experiences from the artha, the object of sense organs, to the mind, to the intellect, to the cosmic intellect, and settling in that peaceful Purusha. Such a person knows that this Purusha, which is in me, is there in Etsham Sarveshu Bhuteshu Goda. Every atom or a creation also is having me as a presence in that, but nadrishyate. But it cannot be seen by me because I can't see myself within me. So how do I see myself in others, other things? I can only infer that because everything comes in the consciousness. The awareness is unbroken. I cannot demarcate, limit with time, space, and etc. Anadi Anandam. The consciousness and the awareness is one through. A person who settles his intellect and the mind in that cosmic intellect, sa brahmaloke mahyate, sa kashta sa paragati, tat vishnu paramam padam, all are the same. He attains his goal and brahma mrityulokat pramuchyate. He is free from birth and death again. He knows the truth and he has no more birth and death again. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. That's it.
Thank you very much, Arbindoji. It was really wonderful. A nice explanation of Kathopanishad, third Valli from 10th mantra to up to the last 17th in that particular Valli. It was superb. Really fantastic actually. As you stated in the 10th and the 11th mantras, clubbed together you explained, the objects are superior to the senses. The mind is superior to the objects. The intellect is superior to the mind. And the great Atman is superior again to the intellect. The unmanifested is superior to the great Atman. And the Purusha is superior to the unmanifested. Nothing is superior to the Purusha. That is the end and that is the supreme goal. It's beautifully stated in this Upanishad. Here we are discussing, it is purely from Kevala Advaita, the Shankara's commentary. There are beautiful commentaries by other Acharya also. Acharya Madhva relies on these 10th and 11th and other the same mantras from other Upanishads, and he gives the gradation of the Tarathamya of the Devatas also, starting from Paramapurusha Narayan to Manusha Gandharva in 32 different grades. Beautiful the mantras. Today's mantras are very, very beautiful. Next, in the 12th mantras, the Atman, hidden in all beings, reveals itself not at all to all, but it is seen only by the seers of the subtle through the pointed and subtle intellect. That was stated in the 12th mantras. And in the 13th, the wise should merge the speech in the mind, and the mind in the intellect, and the intellect in the great self, and that great self again in the self of the peace. That is stated in the 13th. And the very famous mantra, Uttishtata Jagrata. In 14th mantra, arise, awake, O man, realize that Atman, having approached the excellent teachers, like a sharp edge of the razor is that path. difficult to cross and hard to tread. Say so the wise was the message given in the 14th, and in 15th, having realized that touchless, formless, imperishable, and also without the taste and smell and eternal, without beginning or end, even beyond, the Mahat immutable one is released from the jaws of death. And in the 16th, the intelligent one, having heard and related this ancient story of Nachiketas told by the death, is glorified in the words of Brahman. And the last one in the 17th, he who repeats this supremely mysterious story with a great devotion in the assembly of Brahmanas at the time of Shraddha ceremony obtains thereby infinite reward. There, it ends that particular valley. It was so fantastic that Arbindoji explained how we can in our own body experience these things, and he quoted the example of deep sleep, and he made us to realize how it can be, because it is not just a question of belief. It is not just a question of faith. It is your own experience. You can experience here only. That was the object. Once again, I thank you, Arbindoji. And now, Rajji, the room can be open to the question and answer session. If anybody have any questions, can ask, they can add, they can clarify, they can ask your questions. Thank you once again, sir.
Can I ask a question, Arvindji?
Yes, Saman.
Arvindji, you said that the experience which is tasteless and all the sense without any senses, and it's without decay, right? So, like, one thing that I was really trying to understand was, and while presenting my question to you, I want to keep the first person perspective and the third person perspective in mind, right? Like looking at it from both the ways. Now, as far as I can say that the experience itself can be known, right, or experienced only in the first person perspective, right? I cannot scientifically make it verified to any other person objectively, right? That part I think we commonly understand. But from the third person perspective, we know that there are several features of our experience which can be modified by tweaking the material brain, right? So one of the ways in which I can approach this problem is by saying that if the person, let's say, more or less remains mentally and physically, especially mentally healthy, right? Then once that enlightened state has been reached, it will remain throughout the life, right? Something like that. But we know that certain changes, like someone gets a blow, or there's this famous case of Phineas Gage, right, which is brought up again and again. He, this iron rod went through his brain, and his character itself changed, right? And in the same way, we know many other ways in which the language center can be impacted. Then we have the cutting off of corpus callosum, in which two different spheres of consciousness are created. So, before I ask the follow-up question, I wanted to ask, is it legitimate to say that regardless of and also what comes in is the question of identity, right? Like what constitutes the identity of a person and so on, because it's very fair to assume that within this collection of cells and molecules, which from the third person perspective is identified as one from childhood to death, right?
Aman,
But from
Amanji, please, could you articulate and ask the question directly? After this question and session on Upanishads, we have a general discussion. We will open it up. Then we can discuss
oh, okay.
details. Now directly come to the question. Thank you.
Okay, I'll try.
I know, Aman, please.
No, yeah. I mean, I'm glad actually. I think I was able to put a lot out there. So basically, Aurobinji, my question is, when we say that a person has gained enlightenment, why from the third person perspective, or should we, or are we legitimate when we, from the third person perspective, assume the identity to remain constant till the death of that person, especially in context of that person having attained enlightenment, and the idea that that will remain so till the death.
I mean, two things which I'll tell you. One thing is the question which you have been bringing up on the third party perspective thing. We will do it. I'll answer to you when the open session starts, please. Now, coming to the respective to the Upanishadic methodology is concerned, we are talking only about the first party or the first person experiential. Now, in the first person experiential thing, it is very much to the individual what is happening. He doesn't get any symptoms or no lakshana or no symptoms are seen outside of such an individual. Even if he wants, it doesn't come because he remains as what the body he is that. It is a personal feeling of, even in a mundane sense, if I say that, a person who has finished hunger, standing in front of a restaurant, a person who is going to enter the restaurant to quench his hunger, when they are both looking when looking at a common object outside, you can't make a difference whether the one who is looking has quenched his hunger, the other person has yet to quench his hunger. To that extent, on a mundane example, we can say there is no difference between the two human beings, which is a personal experience, first party experience. Both of them will have. One will say, I'm full. The other will say, I'm still hungry, I have to yet to eat. But there wouldn't be any symptoms on the no way we can make a difference. This being much subtler than that physical experience of hunger, it is a experience of being. Nobody can measure, nobody can assess, and even the person who knows it has no way of explaining it because it is beyond words what the experience is. So in no way there is a parallel which two men who has experienced the same thing can explain it in the same way. Each one will differ from the other one.
Thank you, Arvind. In fact, that was beautiful what you said at the end, that no two people will be able to explain in the same way. That was one.
Namaste, Patrick. Namaste, Hari, Girish, Chaitanya. All of you came late.
Namaste, Arvind. My apologies.
Namaste, sir. Pranam Arvindji, Charan Sparsh, Pranam to lovely ones. Very beautiful, Arvindji, very beautiful and so clear, so direct. I see that this is the sar of the whole Kathopanishad that happened today. And thank you so much. I am very much elated and I hope all of us have received that elation. Thank you so much, Arvindji. Bhagwan's grace indeed. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sunny. That was a nice reminder. We forget the sometimes the abstract scripture really is a celebration of divinity. And so I know that sounds religious, but it put a smile on my face and reminded me that it's just one of many ways that we can express our devotion and receive, the great teaching. So thank you. That
Looks like there are no questions, I think. I mean,
I have one, sir. Can I ask?
yeah, please, I'm waiting. I mean, because then we can move to the next room where it can open for any, general questions also, not related to Kathopanishad alone, because we can, close the recording so that will limit to the topic.
Okay.
The general questions can come up later. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, sir. So what is the difference between awareness and when you said consciousness? What is is there any difference, or if yes, what is the difference?
See, it depends upon the context on which you use the words. It is not that words are interchangeably used in different conditions. There is no difference between consciousness or awareness when it can be interchangeably used. But at the same time, the two words have got etymologically differences. Etymological difference in the sense, in Sanskrit equally when we sing that one is called Chaitanya and the other is called Bodha. So when it makes the difference in the difference, that the Chaitanyam is called the consciousness and the Bodham is called the awareness. That is where the Sanskrit difference comes in. But whereas the usage is concerned, that Chaitanyam is more of a state, whereas awareness is a form of, experiential part of it. So consciousness is the entity which becomes an experience. We call it as awareness. That way, roughly, we can make a difference between the two, but identically, it lot varies depending upon where you use it and how you use it.
Sure, sir. So whenever I see my thoughts, let's say, sometimes we experience this feeling, right? When something is witnessing everything, like even sometimes it is very less a fraction of seconds, it happens. Sometimes we see a scenery or a sun or something. That moment, there is no thoughts. So is that a state of awareness, or sometimes we in a day particularly will be lost with thoughts, actions and all, but sometimes a fraction of second will be there where some witness is happening. So that can we call that as awareness in regular life, or?
Yes, awareness is there throughout. There is never a moment when you are not aware. But when the awareness gets covered with knowledge of objects, which can include from the thoughts, mind, intellect, emotional thoughts and feelings onwards to the knowledge of the name and form of the world outside. When that happens, there is something called Vishayika Jnanam, or the objective knowledge which comes in. That objective knowledge is predominantly dependent upon the object and its qualities. But that knowledge do not have a capacity to become awareness or selfness unless the self-awareness or the awareness from the self is illuminating that knowledge. That is why, even though visually or auditory or any of our sense organs are bombarded with multiple inputs from the world outside, our knowledge is limited to only which is being illumined by our awareness. So we get to know only that on object which comes into the prime light of the. It is like a spotlight falling onto a stage on one character. The other characters are there in the stage. The audience with very sharp mind can see that in the darkness the other characters are standing there, but the spotlight is shining only one actor who is the prime actor at that moment. Same way, when we are looking at something, the surrounding objects are also there in the vicinity in the vision. But our concentration or our knowledge or our focus is only on one object, which we call it as I am seeing that. This is the normal thing. That is when we say awareness is there. So when you are saying no thought and you are seeing a beautiful or wonder in the world and the moment, when there is no thought in the mind, that awareness which was there even before and after is still there. That has not gone through any increase or decrease or anything. It is still there. What has happened is that object knowledge did not capture any specific aspect of that beauty of what you are seeing at that time. You didn't have any adjectiveness to add to that. But the object as it is came, all that what happened was the mind did not interfere in that experience of that vision with its own adjectiveness, like it is beauty, it is artificial, it is, it's something which I've seen before, or any of those things which mind can otherwise bring in. That is that time when we don't have that wow moment. When the mind becomes quiet, when we are experiencing, that experiencing also in the awareness. The awareness has never gone anywhere. It was never, not there at all. What all happened was, you didn't have the mind in action. Not that awareness came at that time.
Correct, sir. Correct. Got it. Sir, I understand it's too much of a greed in me to ask that entire day I should be in that state. I understand like it is a fraction of seconds, but why the other entities are dominating? For example, in a day, if I'm concentrating on meditation, that moment I know, okay, other entities like anger or hatred and all are there, and I'm observing as a witness, like awareness. But when I go to job, okay, knowingly or unknowingly, I have some principles to be good with juniors or something. But at some moment, this is dominating. Awareness is like, as you said, it is there. It is there from some. I forgot the word you said. It is there from ages, right? But why it is becoming in the background? Why other entities are like too much dominating? And when talks like this happen, again the awareness is coming back to the focus, spotlight. Again, if something goes, let's say if we meet our family members or something, we'll take them for granted. Again, anger will come again to the background, and awareness will be sitting far away from us. Why is this happening?
Awareness is not sitting far away. It is the awareness which you are. When I'll ask even one question, simple question, is that when you operating any time in your actions, did you ever have to remember that you are a human being?
No.
Okay. Now, the Shastra or the Upanishad says that humanness or the human beingness is the quality which is given to the physical aspect of the individual. But that is something which has been changing from the time you were born till now. So it has gone through all changes, but the changes were observed by something which is called the awareness. That awareness has not changed. So that awareness is there even when you are angry or with your family or you are in office. It is always the awareness which is the substratum with which everything happens. Like you didn't have to remember as you are a human being, which is also a false notion because we identify with the body. But when we know that we are not the body, we are the awareness, and that in that awareness, the awareness of I am a human being is also an awareness. It's an object of awareness. It is not the awareness itself. That when that becomes conviction in you, and you are aware, you don't have to be aware of that awareness all the time. That becomes your nature. The things will happen the way it is to happen. Heat will be heat, cold will be cold, water will be wet, and ice will melt. All those things are nature's law. That will not, no, nothing will change whether you have awareness or not of your own self. When you are a human being also, when it will have the same way. When you know that you are not a human being, you are the awareness which is aware of your humanness also. Even then the things in the world will not change outside. But the approach with which you know that the difference between these two is what makes it a difference. You are no more worried about anything happening to the individual, because the individual is a notion created to the body. When I am the awareness, things had happened before, it has remained, it has gone away. So these are all transient things which will happen. There is no point in me getting angry. These are all the way in which nature comes in this way. Why do you get angry? You have an expectation that the nature should behave differently to your expectation. That can never happen. When you understand that it is my mind and the mind's expectation which expected the situation to behave to my liking, then you like it. If it doesn't behave that way, you get angry. But when you know that things will happen the way it is to happen, and you don't have anything to expect out of it, so everything will be acceptable to you. So there is no question of getting angry at all.
Correct. Correct, sir. I got your point, but only thing is that most of the time it is effort. There's effort in that awareness. It should be effortless. Is what my main point.
No, that will come when you practice it. Abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena cha grishyate is what Krishna has told. How much have we practiced? From the time we were born, our practice was to feel that I am the body. So it has become so much deep-rooted in us that we cannot think beyond the body. Now, for example, I'll tell you one thing.
Sir.
The nail and the hair which is growing out of our body, when we are cutting, we don't have any feeling for that. We don't have any pain, even though it is still remaining as part of our body. You may say it is dead cells which is growing. But when you are driving, your car gets knocked by somebody else. Why don't you treat it that way? It is not even your body. But your car is got a dent, you get down, you scold him, you bite him, or you get in and angry with him, can even go to the extent of road rage and even murder that person, which is not your part of the body at all. But at the same time, the part of the body which is still you can see as existing part of your body, when it is chopped off like a hair or a nail clipping, you are not worried about it. So these are all happening in the mind. In the mental level, we assume things and react to the assumptions. Then we don't have any control on it.
That was a wonderful example, sir. Thank you so much.
Arvindji, if I can ask about the knowledge thing, the omniscience, it was mentioned, right? I forget the Sanskrit term, cosmic, the
Mahanatma.
Mahanatma, right? So, like, what's the nature of that knowledge? Is it can I extrapolate the nature of that knowledge from the kind of objective knowledge that we speak of in normal life, or is the nature of that knowledge itself different, and by virtue of that it's omniscient? That was
By nature it is omniscient, but I can only draw a parallel and give you how it should be understood in an intellectual way. the idea of a family for a child in the family and the idea of the family for the father of the house, the householder. The idea of the family is different, isn't it?
Yes.
Even though both the child and the father knows who are the members, what is the house, the whole everything. But the child has no feeling of ownership or responsibility of the family when it comes to the family idea entity for it. But he knows the overall picture only. But he doesn't have the responsibility all the thing. Whereas the father has not only the knowledge what the child has got, but he has got more knowledge about it. Now this is in a family level. Imagine the creator who owns the whole family of himself.
In that comparison, like two ways I can look at it. One is that the father's knowledge, let's say, is a superset of the child's knowledge, or the second way I can look at it is that it's a higher form of knowledge than the child's knowledge, but it's not a superset, so to speak, right? So the omniscience that is that Mahan Atma has, is it to say that it's a superset of all the sets of knowledge, the lower kinds of knowledge, or is it a higher standard or higher different and higher form?
I think you didn't get my example. The father, you say superset and everything, but the father has no knowledge of what it is to be a child and see it.
Yeah.
He knows the child is part of the family. The father has no potency or knowledge to feel what the child should be feeling or experiencing, even though he has a superset experience. Whereas in the cosmic level, it is everything. It is not that it owns everything. From it everything has come. Like from a father, all the family, all the children have come. But the father has no knowledge of each children, what it feels and what is like to be a child of himself. As a child, the child is feeling. But imagine if the father had that feeling also in his capacity to know, to be my own son and what will be like. This is what is when we say the omnipotency of the God. Not only that it has come from the Creator, everything has come. The Creator itself is there in everything. So he is not only knowing everything, he also knows how to be, what it is to be an iota or a sand dust in the surface.
Okay. I mean, that's okay. I mean, I understand it, like, at least intellectually.
The beingness. See, that is where the difference is. The cosmic is the being as cosmic as well as the dust particle. Both are it only, the same one. But the father doesn't become the son. The father has a son. He can only assume what the son may be thinking or feeling. But imagine a situation if a father or a person you can be your own son-like and feel what a son like to be. I don't know whether we can mentally even imagine that.
Oh, I mean, yeah, that's exactly what I was wondering. That, I mean, in words, I can kind of picturize it, but I think to be able to feel it, that's. I mean, it's almost like if someone says to me, like if someone says to me, like, can you feel what it feels like to be a horse? I would be like, I would have to become horse and relinquish any kind of memory or anything to do with being human, right? But then when I'll return back to human, I will not know what it was like to be horse, because I will have to relinquish that too. But
that is why the Upanishad says that yato vacho nivartande aprapya manasa saha. It cannot be described by words, and mind cannot even fathom what it is to be like.
Yes. I mean, that part so is it fair to say that it's not even like it seems to me that that seems to be more of an inferential kind of a truth rather than like an experienceable kind of a truth, if you understand what I mean. Like,
Yeah, I understand that. It is not an inference. It is the fact.
hmm.
But it appears as an inference because the limitation of our mind. Our limitation is the cause.
And but it's fair to say that that fact has been I mean it's fair to say that some human or some person who was special in some way was able to see the fact, and that's why that person claimed that okay, this is what I'm experiencing, this is the truth, and you can either check it out for yourself or you can just like accept it for a while, something like that, right?
Okay. This is where the Upanishad helps us. It is the experience of everyone who is either listening or living, whoever wants to understand it. In your dream, there was a world created. There were objects, living beings, sceneries, equipments, and you yourself inside that. And everything was created.
Yep.
And it is the same entity which experienced as an object, as a living being, as an animal, as a road or a car or a plane or anything. And as a person dreaming, experiencing the dream also, you were present in the dream. This experience is created by that same experience or creator who creates the world of waking for us also, and puts us as an experiencer for the waking to experience the world of objects, things, everything what we are experiencing in the waking. There is no difference between the two states. But a bit of memory from the dream available in the waking, we are able to negate the dream as unreal. But we are not able to do the experience of waking as unreal because we are still in the waking. Only we have to get out of the waking to negate the waking as unreal. For that, you have to shift from the waking, the dream, and the deep sleep to the creator's state or the state of the awareness which is creating everything for us. Then only you will be able to negate, or you will be able to see the fallacy or the illusion or the unreality of the waking and the dream in the same way. This
Yeah.
is not somebody's hypothetical inference or deduction. It is an experience which is given to everyone, and from that we are asked to do the same thing, apply that same to our waking.
Hmm. Yeah, I think one way I try to work that out is this is something that I just think as being hypothetically possible, right? So we have all these colors that we view in the external world, and they correspond to certain frequencies, but also you can mix the colors and it appears as a different color. But one hypothetical scenario that I imagine is like, let's say you had a dream in which you saw a color for which no frequency could be no corresponding frequency, or a mixture of two or permutation combination of different frequencies could be done, which could generate that color for you from the external world, right? But in the dream you saw that color. Let's just suppose that as a hypothetical way of looking at it. Now it's impossible to deliver that experience for you when you wake up to any human being, because neither you can draw it, neither you can find any corresponding frequency or the permutation combination of two different frequencies for it, right? And I mean, and I think I'm like, that's how I'm trying to understand what you're saying. It seems to me that you can in your dream have, let's say, the exact experience of a horse, but because in the waking state, the words have not been created in such a way from the objective reality, the concepts have not been created, so that experience will be in principle, maybe at least to the objective reality, undeliverable through words.
Come on, I'll tell you one thing. The nature is helping us to do that by giving a third state where both waking and dream is not available. Yet, nobody can deny that he or she didn't exist at that time in the deep sleep. The waking also vanished, the dream also vanished, yet I am there, but I knew nothing. I had no way to express it. I had no way to, verify that to ourselves, because that time there is the faculties of the waking I've dropped in the waking, the faculties of the dream I have dropped in the dream, and the state where I don't have where waking and dream is available to objectify that comparison between dream and waking is possible, but at the same time my intellect is not functioning in the deep sleep. So all I can say is that I was there, I had a good sleep, and I did not vanish, or I did not become nothing, or that nothing, the nothingness is only from the point of view of otherness. But as far as nothingness as an observer or experiencer of the deep sleep, I cannot negate and say I didn't have a sleep. So this is why the three states are available in human beings to do this analysis, whether you call it as deduction or hypothesis or inference and everything. All this methodology which we apply in the waking is being possible to be done in waking, because the problem we are facing is in the waking. That is why these tools are also available in the waking, because we have so much of feeling of reality to the world outside. They are real, existing, independent of me is the feeling, because I separated out from them and I am separate and the world is separate. That separatedness created not only a reality, independent reality to me, it also created an independent reality to the world outside. And then I have caught myself into such a situation, I cannot deny myself and I cannot deny the reality of the world outside. But both becomes null and void when I go to deep sleep. Neither was I or the waker was there, nor the reality of the world was there for me. Nor in the state of dream where there were real experiences at the time of dreaming, they also were not there. But all these three states, I remained as awareness unchanged. It is the same I which as a child when I was dreaming also there, the same I when I am dreaming as an old man also is the I is the same. So what has not changed in all the changing thing is the changeless I. And it is because of the I can never be seen by I am not able to see that I in the world of outside also, where I am also present in it. That is what this Upanishads was telling about it. Gudam, eteshu sarveshu, in everything that Mahanatma, that when I said that the cosmic creator became everything, ajayamano bahuda vichayate, it became everything including me. I am also I am also the cosmic only in that form, that like the fire and the spark. I cannot say that I am the cosmic creator, but I am not different from the cosmic creator, I can say. This is the way in which we have to do that. These problems is only problem solvable for the waking. Therefore, we use inference, deduction, logic, and etc. Because the problems, we feel that reality of separation is only in waking. We don't have that separation problem and the waking and all the multiplicity in the deep sleep. So we didn't have any need for any of those deduction, logic or anything. I was alone. I was alone with myself, or I was one with that from where I came from. So there was no problem. When there is only one, The moment 2 comes, there is a problem.
Arvindji, actually, one thing that you said was that in the Nirgun form, right, something like that, that the only property that the, let's say, the Paramatma had was that of Sat, right, or Sach or Sat, and then later on, along with Prakriti, it acquired the property of Raja, and I think I forget the names of those properties.
It's okay. Satya, Rajas, Tamas.
Yeah, Satya, Rajas, Tamas. Yes, yes. So I was wondering if in the original form, let's say the Paramatma is just Satya, then and only Paramatma is existing and Prakriti has come out of Paramatma, then how did those properties get formed? Like, because the only thing that the Paramatma had was Satya. So how did Rajas and Tamas come into being?
I'll ask you as example. Don't example is only for example purpose. Don't
Sure.
extrapolate it to that cosmic condition. The same water, liquid form, solid form, and vapor form, cloud. When it became solid ice, the water did not become something different from water. When it became cloud and it was floating in the sky, separated from the ocean where it was there, it had a separate existence, apparent existence, but it still remained as water only, as H2O or SH2O, right? So the 3 gunas of Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, the water, the ice, and the cloud, the vapor, is all not separate in nature, but it is an appearances in nature. Same way, the cosmic has never become the Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. It is supposed to be the qualities available in that, with which the multiplication and combination becomes, semi-solid, semi-liquid, something like that, how that equations are available. Same way, it became multiple things in the world without losing its own true nature. That is why it is Gudam in everything. It is as a hidden, it is available in everything. What is that hidden? Existence and awareness. Existence itself is awareness, and awareness itself is in the form of existence. So anything and everything, you cannot take out existence and awareness and say that something is there outside existence and awareness.
Okay. Yeah. So it's almost like saying that there was this like a balance has become a different kind of a balance now, right? Like, so for example,
so the same H2O in the form of water, in the form of ice, in the same form of cloud, the H2 has never become anything else. It is the same thing in all those things.
Yeah, I think one analogy, just the same analogy is that, like, there is just water, liquid water, and then winter arrived, and like there is this ice cubes, and there is also maybe because of sun, water vapor.
There that the problem will be that external factors are conditioning that formation of ice and the cloud and everything.
As an analogy.
In this case, you can't take that analogy because there is nothing external to it.
Yes, I get it. Yes. That's
Namaste, Robinduji.
Namaste, sir.
This line, which you were just talking about.
Sir, little louder, please.
Okay. This which is everywhere remains hidden and doesn't shine on its own. And the following line says that this appears to those who are Sukshmadarshi. From the previous verse says, like, from Indriya to Man, then Man to Buddhi, then Buddhi to this Mahanatma. Is Sukshmadarshi means or is Sukshmadarshi is used for deduction?
one who is able to see through the gross, the apparent is what is seen for the eyes. But one who can see through the apparent, the reality that is supporting the apparent appearance. Such a drishti is called Sushma drishti. And it is through the Buddhist. Sushma drishti, Sushma darshi, agriya buddhi, he is referring to the intellect there. So the intellect only can see through the appearances to the substratum of the appearance, which is the reality. A person who is seeing the painting can see multiple colors and the picture there. But a person who can see the canvas, he doesn't see the canvas, but he has the intellectual awareness of the canvas supporting the paints to give the appearance of a picture. And at the same time, nobody can say, no, it's only the picture, the canvas is not there. Because everybody knows that without the canvas, the paint cannot be there or the picture cannot be there. Right? Same way, the Sushma Drishti is for seeing through the apparent appearances, the substratum of the existence and awareness. Like that other example which I was telling always, when we see objects in the waking, we are not seeing the objects as such. We are seeing the sunlight reflected from the objects to see the object, but we do not acknowledge the sunlight as the cause for our seeing, but we say we see the object. But when you are told to think that way, okay, you will accept, yes, you are right. It is the sunlight which I am seeing, not the object. So that type of a shift to see to the substratum or the reality of things, which is apparent as multiple and diverse in the world, there is a reality of substratum in it, in everything. Sarveshu bhuteshu, in everything that is being created. That one who sees through this form of through intellectual, seeing through the apparent ones to the reality supporting them, for them, sa kashta sa paragati. He attains that state of Brahmaloke Mahiyade.
So one can say that although it is everywhere, it is not evident, it has to be reached using intellect.
Yeah, it is, you should say, look this way, Sat. When you look for yourself within yourself, you can only experience your own presence within yourself. But you cannot know it as an object, even though you know it is there within you. Your awareness. You can only say, my awareness is an experience of being. Now, this experience of being is not an object. This experience of being is there for everything which is the world outside or the creation. And that experience of being the same as the experience of you yourself, which cannot be seen by you yourself, when it is present in the world outside, how can you see it? Because that also you are only. That being and awareness is you only. What we are experiencing is the name and form and adjectives of that being, the substratum on which the name and forms appears. Then we say that tree exists, the animal exists, the rock exists, that objects exist, the sun, the moon, the whole world, everything. But they are all having the same beingness as awareness as we feel it in them also, and it is not separate. Just as we cannot see it in ourselves, we cannot see that in the others also, because it's not the two are separate. When we cannot, being so intimate and personal to ourselves, we cannot see it. We can only experience it. Same is the case everywhere. Why do you limit your body, physical body, because of your sense of touch? Even the sense of touch is limiting because you are identifying your experiences to the sense of touch. So you limit to the body. When your sense of touch is not there in your dream, you are ready to experience anything which is beyond your body. And when even the dream and the waking is dropped, you are experiencing the whole experience of everything in the same time. But you don't see everything, the name and form of your body, the dream world or the waking world or anything of that type. You are one with the experience in all the time. There is no two to say that I experienced something. That is why we don't say we experienced anything in the deep sleep. We have become one. Sadi sampadya na viduhu sadi sampadhyamahe is what the Upanishad says, Chandogya Upanishad. Having become one with that Sat or the existence, na viduhu, he doesn't know that he has become one with the Sat. That Sadi sampadhyamahe, we are one with the Sat. That is what the Upanishad says.
Thank you, Arvind.
Namaste, Srinivas. Prasad, namaste.
Namaste. I'm driving. I don't know whether you can hear the road noise. Let me quickly ask one question, Arvind. See, many folks are aware of themselves, aware of the awareness. They have, at least they are aware of that awareness, sort of. But they still keep doing things they know which is not right, but they still keep doing it, or they're kind of, they feel like they're forced to do things like that. Why does it happen? And what can they do to kind of stop themselves from?
See, until the clarity comes and the conviction comes, it will be done. It is by default that you will be forced to do that, because the typical way in which the Advaita says is that knowledge has got three functions which is prohibiting knowing the truth. One is total ignorance, the other one is doubt, and the third one is misconception. If any of the three happens, then this will be repeated to know the truth. That is the basic tendency of the mind, to know the truth, or the intellect to know the truth. So as long as it comes and it finds that it is not the right thing, then that it will be repeated again until it becomes a conviction. So that is why this is being repeated by that most.
Namaste, Arvindaji.
Namaste, Srinivas.
So I just had a thought. So is it right to think that the same Purusha is appearing as unmanifest, is appearing as Mahat, he is appearing as Buddhi, right? Next, Buddhi, Manas and objects and Indriya. It's that the ultimate thing must be the one which is encompassing rest of the things, right? Is it right to think that way, Arvindaji?
Yes, Sarvam Khalu Brahma, or Ajayamano Bahuda Vijayate. All the Upanishad says that the one became apparently many. In reality, it didn't become many, because even when the water becomes waves, multiple waves, or the cloud, or the thing, the water has not become many. It apparently takes many names and forms. Same way that the Purusha is Avyakta Rupa is the beginning where the desire to, present itself as many is given as an explanation to those who see multiplicity. In reality, it has not become many. Even now, this very moment, it is only one which is there in all of us. But we are all experiencing multiplicity. For explaining the experience of multiplicity, the Upanishad say that the same one with desire to become many, without becoming actually many, appeared as many. Swakameda bahusyam prajayeti ajayamano bahuda vichayate. So he desired to become many, and without becoming many, he appeared as many.
Nice. Thanks, Arvind. In fact, very beautiful slokas covered today. I think the 12th, 13th, and 14th are one of my favorites. Of course, there are some others coming, but I really like that Sukshmaya Sukshmadarshibhi, that sloka, and Yachet Bang Manasi Prajna. That's like always very beautiful technique. I used to just merge. It's like saying merge your senses with mind with Mahat. That sequence is always very soothing and easy to follow. And of course, the Uttishtata Jagrata. Those three in conjunction, very beautiful. I loved it today. Thanks, Arvind.
It's a beautiful contemplative mantras.
Yeah.
Arvindji, there was one about words. I forgot, there was something about words being assimilated. Could you please remind me a bit about that? There was a question that had appeared when you were talking about that, but I forgot the whole...
Vangme manasi pradishtitam. The words should be resolved in the mind. Because what is appearing as names is only aspect of experience as sound. That is why in the subsequent sloka say Ashabdam, Asparsham, Arupam, Avyayam, Tada Rasam, Nityam Agandha Yat. All those things are all the five senses. The Vang Manasi Pradishtam is only not indicative of the sound. All the sense organs, all the five sense organs. Imagine we had a million sense organs. What would have been the world like? You can't even imagine, no?
Yeah. No,
with the five itself, we have so much of problem.
Right. Yeah, in fact, the funny part is that in some cases, if you actually remove some sense organ, something, the condition becomes happier. Ironically.
Yeah.
No, the reason why I really loved the word melting, that's the feeling that I got, was because the English, the process that comes to my mind it's called nominalization, right? It's us dividing this chunk of the world and then rearranging it in our mind through language, right? And
right.
I'm glad that you actually mentioned a shabdam part, because I've forgotten that. You said about no senses, but no words, I think is pretty significant. Because it's my choice, right? That I can look at a chair as one unit, or forget about the chair. There is the armrest, there is the seat, there is the back seat. I can just forget about the chair and I can just look at those parts. And I think this is very good exercise actually, that all these objects that you have in your mind, try to just break them into waves and interchangeable waves, and all the words also begin to dissolve, just as a meditational practice. So I thought it was
many examples are there in that. The Sunny, who is in the listener, he has sent me once in back channel chat. The tree which we experience is actually a wholesome experience as a tree. But if you look at the details, it is leaves, branches, fruits, flowers, trunk, roots, everything put together, we have an experience of a tree. Same way, we have an experience of a son or a daughter or a wife or a spouse or whatever may be. Now, if you look at it, there are so much of names involved in the form of adjectives to that entity.
Yep.
But all merge together into one entity when I experience that child or a spouse. And then it is the name which is what is making the difference for me, the separation from the rest of that. In the Chandogya Upanishad 7th chapter, Narada goes to his elder brother Sanat Kumara and tells that I know all the 4 Vedas, I know this Vidya, that Vidya. He rattles about 10, 12 degrees he has got from all over the cosmos. Yet I am not happy within myself. I have heard the one who knows Atma, he crosses over the ocean of sorrow. So, O Bhagava, O teacher, I am accepting you as a teacher. Please tell me, how do I cross over the ocean of samsara? Tarasi shokam atmavit. So, the elder brother gives a smile and says, O Narada, all the 21, 25 names which you have said, they are only names only. They are only words. You have mastered all the words of the cosmos, but the words have not become yours. So as long as the words do not become you and you have the control over the words, they will remain separate from you and you will not have any control on the area where you have that names in you. The moment you have the words as become yours, yusa kamacharo bhavati, then you are in control of that area of the words. Like that, he takes from the words to all the way up to Bhuma. Bhuma is that culmination where here they say, no sa ka kashta sa paragadi, or tas Vishnu paramam padam, or brahmaloke mahiyate. There it is, the word used is Bhuma. Na alpe sugamasti, bhumaiva sugam. In the finite there is no happiness. Bhumaiva sugam, in that infinite is singing. And what is that? Yatrana anyat pasyadi, anyat vijanadi, anyat shrunodi. Where you do not hear anything, you do not see anything, you do not, experiencing anything other than you. That is what is called Bhuma. And Bhumaiva sugam. And Bhuma, that Bhuma is the real happiness. None of the other things which we have been discussing till now. So about 18 items he refers in the step-by-step meditation process. It's another beautiful meditational thing.
That actually kind of reminds me of, the kind of difference between having an information and imbibing it as knowledge, as your own. And also like the quote that I can see in your profile, like that was really funny as well. The study of the scriptures is useless so long as the highest truth is unknown, and it is equally useless when the highest truth has already been known. So I mean that speaks, I think, a lot to it. Like it's one thing to just rearrange concepts in your mind, but it's another thing to like own them, right? Like to put them in the knowledge box rather than the information box.
Yeah, hello, Arunji. So I just wanted to say that, the touch sense actually is distributed all over the body and all, right? And even inside the body and all. Otherwise, you wouldn't come to know what is happening in stomach, for example. So that actually can be said as 1,000 senses in one sense, actually. And that is the one which actually gives you a kind of entity in this world, mainly because of touch. If you didn't have touch, like only eyes, for example, then in the space, and it would be more like a video game, actually. Something like that.
Yeah, Vinodji, I had actually had one thought experiment regarding that. So the thought experiment was you imagine yourself in this square box, like square box room, a big square box room, no windows at all, and it's floating around the earth like a space station or something, right? And you're floating in the middle of it, right? And there is no source of light, no source of sound, although that can be very problematic, actually, the experiments that have been done. No source of smell or nothing like that, and you're weightless on top of it. I think I think the only touch, the only sense that you will feel, although I think, I mean, the sound, the problem is that you will be able to hear the flow of blood in your veins. That can become very problematic, actually. But I think the touch will be the predominant sense in that thought scenario.
Namaste, Prasad.
I just wanted to add to that. Actually, that is when I think that is where you have zero experience of anything, and you can search for it on YouTube and all that.
But Vinodji, would it be fair to say that zero experience of anything, because you're awake, and even if your all external senses are cut off, there is still this internal activity going on, and you just can't shut it unless.
That is the state in the deep sleep. You don't have even the internal experiences, or
No.
you don't even have the identity of the I. The individuality is also not experienced, but you cannot deny you were not there.
Actually, Aurobinji, is it the kind of open, that third part, the third person experience that I want to get? Is it time to do that, or that we need to do after, that we can do?